Well, let's talk some more about this. We're joined here in the studio by Dr. Zarni. He's a visiting fellow at the Department of International Relations at the London School of Economics and founder of the Free Burma Coalition, and that was a grassroots coalition that pushed for sanctions against the Burmese regime, but it's now disbanded. Dr. Zarni, so you do need a bit of a mix of policy when you're dealing with the authorities in Burma, don't you?
Yes.
Hard and soft policies.
That's right, multi-pronged. And I think ASEAN has been pushing for what's called like constructive engagement. Giving the Burmese their rotational chairship, it in fact isn't a big deal. It's an alphabetical, rotating order. But I think that...
But they could have made a bit of a, I suppose, a symbolic move by saying we're going to deny you the right to have your rotating
chair.
I think they... Couldn't they?
Yes, they could have done it, and that, I don't think that they have pushed the Burmese regime enough. Like even on a single issue like the political prisoners, we still have over 1,000 political prisoners behind bars, and so the regime is using political prisoners as political bargaining chips. And so now I think the litmus test is whether this regime means business when it says reform, now that they got what they want.
And when they're allowed to chair ASEAN, though, could it be a bit of an incentive for them to continue with their moves to release political prisoners, because they have done that, and to release
Yes,
those
I think it can go. It could go both ways. It could incentivize them to, step up their reforms, or it could put them in a fairly comfortable and complacent position where say, look, the normalization of our regime has started already, and we don't need to. Be subject to international criticism. But I think that the real issue that is not discussed in this context of ASEAN chairship is that we have the longest civil war between the Burmese central government and the ethnic minorities that make up about 35% of the country's population. And
they've actually included calls for peace, haven't they, with these ethnic minority groups? The authorities now in Burma have said that.
That's right. Yeah, but the trick here is that the Burmese military regime has always insisted on their terms. Like you can't have a peaceful solution when you're trying to always dictate the terms of the peace instead of like entering in or finding a common ground. And so I think that's an issue that we need to focus on. And the second and last issue is the economic reforms. I think that the talk of reforms are welcome, but the problem is that it's an extremely political issue because there are vested interests of the army and the generals, and I don't think there's enough political will to undertake fundamental reforms.
Dr. Zarni, visiting fellow at the London School of Economics and Burmese activist, thank you very much. I can call you that, can't I? Thank you.